Hi, Jim Hodges here, of course Patton. Wanted to put together a quick video to demonstrate the obedience commands, the hand signals, the consequence if we need it, the praise if we need it, and go from there. Real simple, real quick. You know this guy is a strong-willed guy. Guess what? That's a good thing. Most dog trainers like strong-willed dogs. All that means is once you establish you're the leader, a balanced leader, a lot of praise, consequence when needed, he's going to be willing to do anything and everything that you want. Of course, we have to do this through different environments, scenarios, distractions, and we always start with minimum distractions so that he can get in sync with you, okay? So the very first thing we're going to do, see how he's watching me? Good boy. I'm praising him for that. When he's doing what we want, we praise him. When it's obedience, we praise him. When we praise him, we give both verbal and good touch by patting him and what have you, okay? We use treats sometimes, but you know how he is about treats. We don't want him to get manic. So typically what I would do is use treats for him. One treat when he's done a real good thing, not have sit here be leading him and teasing him with it unless you're teaching a new command. So I call it manna from heaven. He's done a good job and you want to reward him, give him a treat. If you ask him to sit or down inside, give him a treat if you want to, but always give him that physical praise, touch, verbal praise. On the flip side, if he does something wrong, we have to bite him. We bite him by telling him no or and tapping the leash or the little tab. Okay, so here's how we're going to get started. Let's go. Let's go is an easy walking command. You decide what the speed is. His job is to stay here or here. If he gets out in front of us, two things happen. One is he's leading the walk. He's the leader. We're supposed to be the leader. Once we've established leadership and you know you're the leader, then you can allow that to go if you want. Personally, I don't allow my dogs to walk in front of me unless we're out on a nature walk and they're off leash. Second thing is when he's out in front of you, he can get a little distracted at times. That's why I told you to work without a lot of distractions till you make that meeting of the minds, if you will. He can get distracted, and if he gets distracted and you're behind him, he may act on that distraction, bolt at him or do whatever. But when we're here beside, we're always a checks and balance, okay? When he looks at you, praise him. That's a great thing to happen. So here we go. Let's go. Hear my voice. Atta boy. My voice is encouraging him to do the things that we ask. If he's not paying attention, tap the leash. Good boy. Of course, why do we not pay attention? Because we have cats in the background. But that's okay. He has to work and do what we want. Sit. Good boy. Hand signal for sit is just like that. Sit means sit. He has to stay in the sit until we release him. It's a good thing you were doing about turning on him. Anytime he breaks the command, that should be a signal to you that that's something you need to work on until he understands. Now, he sits till we release him. But quite honestly, I don't take dogs and put them in a sit more than a minute or two at a time because it can be very uncomfortable. It could even be unhealthy on their hips. Hand signal from the front, down. Notice the tone of my voice. It went from a little upbeat and persuasive to a little more demanding. Down and no or should be a little stronger inflection. Break. Good boy. Now, if I wasn't running my mouth just then, I would have praised him as soon as he did. Sit. Look how he's watching. Good boy. That's a good boy. Now from the side. Down. Good. That's a good boy. Good boy. Now he's holding that down. Break. Let's revisit. Let's go. We tap him in the direction. Tap, tap. You hear it? Tap and release in the direction we want him to go. Sit. If he didn't sit, I would tap straight up. Remember our levels of consequence. We start low and continue to grow. The only reason we increase the consequence is because he isn't obeying us the first time when we ask. But we only do it incrementally. We're not here to start some massive fight or let him think that we're trying to intimidate, dominate, or hurt him in any way. Then if we tell him to DOWN and he doesn't do it, we get a little short down. But say he didn't, we would tap towards the ground. 30, 45-degree angle is fine. Anytime we provide a consequence, we follow that consequence with praise. Good boy. We want to let him know that he's done it right. The next command is the COME command. Come. He comes up and he sits. Good boy. That's the one command right now after watching you guys that I would probably maybe give him a treat on the come command. Just don't let the treats make him manic like you said it does and we've noticed doing it. Break. Break is the release. So we're walking through. He's doing what we asked. That's such a good boy. Come on. We're going to pretend like we're loading up in the car. Now, why do we do that? There's a woolly caterpillar right there, and he saw it as we walked by. Distraction, okay? Something that's not normally there. All right, now, I'm going to show you the HUP or load up command. Why do we want to do this? If you ever allow him on the furniture, it should be because you commanded him to. If you ever wanted him to load up in a car, you command him to. What I prefer, though, is that he's under control. So maybe you have him sit before you do those things. Then again, it's a positive voice. Attaboy. That's a good boy. And then he stays in that position until you release him. Good boy. Break. We talked about it. You saw it. There was that jump. He's an athlete. He might be a stocky guy, but he can go with the best of them. All right, next thing is the place command. The place command is we tell him to get on his bed. He can lay down, sit down, stand up, read a book. I don't care what he does as long as he stays on the bed. You can even give him an antler or a toy or something like that. Something that makes him feel good. Now, when we put him in that place command, we've had him in it for a couple hours at a time. It's fantastic. The thing that you have to do, though, is watch for him to get up. And if he gets up, it's tap, 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 no, 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 place. And that's the hand signal for the place. Now notice when I praise him when we get ready to do this. I'm going to praise him when his fourth foot gets on the bed. Place. Atta boy. Good boy. Now he can do whatever. I do not give him another command but place for that. I'm not going to tell him to SIT. I'm not going to tell him to DOWN. Is place, and he's got to stay there until I release him. And if he gets up, I'm going to go get him, and I'm going to bite him all the way back. It's so important that he starts to learn this. It's a relaxed command, but you're still showing authority. Come. Good boy. Good boy. Right. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is the heel command. Heel command is not something that I use a lot. In fact, primarily the only time I really use the heel command is when we have a situation that I'm doing a demonstration of what my dogs can do. But there is a use for it. And what that is when you want your dog real close to you. Because typically the heel command is he's in a box beside us. When we tell him to heel, he walks with us. When we stop, he sits automatically. On let's go, when we're walking, let's go. When we stop, he doesn't have to sit down. I'm still going to praise him and let him know what's going on, okay? That's the big difference with the heel command. Also, when we stop on heel, and you're going to see that in just a second, he's got to hold that sit. Heel. Keep him in. Stop. He sits. Good boy. We praise him. I should be able to step off, okay? Do whatever. He's in that sit. We go right back, heel. And I'll practice little figure eights with him. I'll step off. And what I'm looking for him is to look and try to migrate back up to my side. Good boy. I can go to a hand signal. That's down. And he has to hold it. Now, you haven't heard me say the word stay. I never use a sit stay. I may use a stay when I want to keep him in the room. It's an open palm. It can be an open palm if you're trying to keep him in a general area. I do use a down stay. When we tell him to down, that is him giving up the ghost. That is him at his most submissive and us at our most authoritative, okay? So in the beginning, I would put him in a down stay. When I tell him to stay, he can chew on a bone. He can roll over and go to sleep. I just want him to stay in that down position. I don't say downstay unless he's usually going to be in it for a couple of minutes, okay? Very, very important. Break. Atta boy. That's a good boy. He is really a good boy. He's, again, headstrong. He's a leader in training. It's important for you to be able to step up and be his leader. There's nothing he won't do for you if you'll do that. So, SIT, DOWN from in front, DOWN from the side, BREAK, PLACE, STAY, HEEL. Actually don't have one for let's go, but it's just let's go. Atta boy. Every time he watches us and is looking at us, praise him. Let him know he's a good boy. Find a place for his treats. Treats are still a good part of the game, but just make sure it doesn't create a situation where there's more trouble. If so, start backing off of it. Probably the last thing is consequence. Remember, we start off at a light level and move up if he's not obeying. Remember, when we do bite him and have to get on him after we bite, like SIT, then, good boy, he spells too, by the way. When he does, we come back and praise him. Good boy. We want to let him know, although we had to bite him, like another dog might bite another, that when he does do it, we're happy. Break. The next thing is, he doesn't hold a grudge against you. When you do something wrong, you don't hold a grudge against him. We have to praise 20 times more a day than we consequence. So get in the habit of praising him when he's sitting there beside you or laying down or watching you and being a good boy. When you go to meet someone, he can't jump on them. When he starts to jump, you tap the leash. And then put him back to give him a chance to jump again. Repeat it over and over until he holds the ground. Don't let your friends or anyone else pet him while he's jumping, because all we're doing is rewarding and teaching that jumping gets praise, gets a reward, okay? Pull back, stay away, and you teach from your end. When you're walking down the street, you see somebody and you want to talk to him, if you want to tell him to SIT to begin with, that's fine. But remember what I said, we don't want to keep him in a sit because of comfort for more than a minute or two. So what I may do is I might have him SIT and then I break him. The key is we have him on leash. He can never pull us on a leash again. So if he was to start to try to pull to go up, tap, tap, tap. I would tap the leash back, good boy, and go on from there. Thanks so much for trusting me with him. He can be a good dog. Not that you're not going to have to work at it, and periodically as he gets older, he's going to test. You just have to stand that pressure and let him see you're the leader. A benevolent leader, okay? A good leader. Thank you very much. My number, 336-945-3232. If you ever need me, if you have a question, you pick up the phone and call me. If you want to work together, there's never a charge for what we're doing here, okay? As long as you come to me. Any of these commands will reinforce and will work with you. Even if you just want to work together to make sure we're doing the right thing, give us a call, come over, and one of us or both of us will work with you because we want what's best for you and for Mr. Patton here. He's a real good boy. Make certain that you read my little booklet because there's some things that I go in a little more detail that I think are imperative for you to read and be aware of, okay? Probably one of the biggest things is talking about the little gagging on treats and water and food. That's something that I've been doing a little bit of research. I addressed it a little bit in the manual. Thank you again so much. I appreciate it. Take care. Frank, good boy.